Hello everyone, it's Path. Today I'm going to give you my opinion on flipping and holding, which one works for me, and also just give you some ideas and what are some good things about flipping, or not so good thing about flipping, as well as for holding, and then you can make your decision. I'm of course not trying to tell you what to do. As usual, I'm not a financial advisor. It's something that you should view with a big pinch of salt. Take them as reference and make your own decision. So let's get straight into this. Defining the terms. Flipping usually means selling very quickly, so as soon as you get them, you immediately sell them. But I think there's a little bit of difference between somebody who do it in the long term. So someone like me, if I get my hand into something with good allocation at release, and if I have enough that are more than the amount that I would like to keep, I may sell a small amount of it quickly at a very good price before the price drops. I think that's called flipping. Later on, I'm also going to show you some other example of people who are buying in bulk and just flipping everything very quickly, but that's actually normally called churning and burning very quickly, just cycling through the money and then try to make a small margin. That's a slightly different approach, but I'm going to show you that anyway. Of course, holding typically in this hobby, or the for collectors like us, I'm more of a long-term holder. And let's just start with flipping, why it can work, especially I think in the recent few months. Actually, it's almost a year now. The demand in the hobby is very high, and unfortunately the supply at release is getting lower and lower, and that usually means the pricing is very high at release. Some people call it the FOMO pricing, because there are many people who are very afraid we may not see this product again, we may not be able to get this product. And actually that is quite true for some of the product like Destined Rival, even though it's released in May, end of May. And now, as of the time of recording, it's already midway in September. We have not actually received any restock or resupply in as a booster box in Destined Rival in Singapore. I know it happened in the US, but unfortunately in Singapore we don't see them at all. So that's the situation we are facing right now. And the other good thing is, of course, quick return. So as soon as you get it, if you can flip it for a pretty high margin, you get a good chunk of return, and also frees up your capital. You don't have to worry about holding it for too long, and also work well during hype drops, like for example the Destined Rivals that I just said, and also Black Bolt White Flare, the more recent one. What is the not so good thing about flipping? I think there's always flip side to this. The thing that actually causes FOMO pricing is because of low supply, and that also means if you are planning to flip, you will have challenge finding stock to flip them, especially during release. And even if you can get them in a reasonable volume, usually the price is not very good. So that's something that you have to be considering. The other thing is, of course, the retracement of the product in terms of the price. Some of these things like Destined Rival, the price actually didn't really drop much after release. In fact, it has been going up, but that is more of a abnormality rather than the norm. And if you look at Black Bolt White Flare, when it was released in Singapore, it was going for 150, 160 Singapore dollar, even 170 per ETB. And right now it's actually selling at 110, 105, 120 on Facebook market page. It's quite still very available as of now. So the danger is that if you're actually stocked up on them and you thought that, oh, I'm just going to buy them for like 130, 140 dollar and flip them for 150, 160 for a small margin, the danger is that if you did not move them quick enough, you will get caught. And now when the price is lower than your cost price, what are you going to do? Are you going to hold them and wait for it to go back up? If it ever go back up, and if it does, when will it happen? Or you're just going to cut your loss and sell them at a loss. So that's something that we have to consider if you are planning to flip. Be very careful. The other thing is, of course, we may miss long-term growth if the product end up being very good and iconic, like case in point is Destined Rivals. I got a case of 6 booster box and I sold 2 of them at a very good price. Don't get me wrong, very good price. But am I regretting it? Actually a little bit, because if I have kept them, and I didn't even get them at a very bad price, I got them below MSRP in Singapore. So I could have kept them, but instead I chose to sell 2 of them at a very good price. That's my story. So missing out on a little bit of long term, that's something that you also have to consider. The last but not least, is actually the time that you will have to spend doing this. If you're just flipping, what I'm doing is I will only do it when I have good amount of stock in hand. For example, the Destined Revolt, during release I got a case, I sell 2 of them. That happened actually only took me like a day to do it, right? A few posting on Facebook page, and then within the day I actually got the deal done, and by the night I have already delivered the product, or maybe the day after. Black Bolt White Flare is quite similar. During release I got a case of each, and I sold half of them. That probably took me a few days, 2, 3, 4 days to finish and deliver everything and get my money in. So for me it's not so bad, because usually during each set, which means every maybe 2 months, I will, if I have enough stock, I may do it, and it will only take like a few days to do it. But if you are thinking about doing it in the long term, very frequently, that is a very different thing. Here I also wanted to show you, if you are thinking about flipping every single month as a long-term thing in a higher volume, this is what you can expect. I think Danny Phantom did something very similar when he was arguing between holding long-term seal investment compared to churning and burning, and why he was churning and burning rather than holding it in the long term. I think this is a very quick demonstration of it. So here you will see that, like for example, if you have a 10% margin and you're starting with just $5,000, it doesn't matter what currency. So if you are starting with $5,000 as capital, and then every single month you sell everything through, and you net a margin of 10%. When I say net, it means you have to consider all the fees that you will need to be paying for selling them. If you're doing it on eBay, you have to add that in. If you are selling at a table at a card show, that's $400 in Singapore per show, and then that's something that you have to consider. So like for example, if this is not net, if this is just 10%, let's say if I buy my whatever for $5,000 and sell it for $5,500, and you are actually going for 2 card show per month, actually you are losing money. So you have to consider that, right? Also the tax, if you are actually selling as a company, you have to consider that as well. What about the tax return and everything? You have to add that in. So usually you probably have to go with even higher margin, maybe 15%, let's say gross margin, and then you have to, if this is not net, this is gross, 15%, 20% is probably the minimum you have to do to even break even. So yeah, this looks very nice. Let's say if I don't call it net margin, I call it gross. I buy it for 5,000, I sell it for 5,007. Looks very nice, but you have to consider the other fees that will be involved. But if there's no other fee, it looks perfect. Within a year you would gain like 500%, so much of money. Yeah, but that's something that you have to consider. And to be able to move like $20,000 worth of product in a month, it's also not an easy thing. And what are the things that you're thinking about moving? And once the money get higher and higher, it's also harder to move, because then the reputation and everything will come in. Are you trustworthy enough? Do people trust you enough to buy $20,000 worth of stuff from you? Maybe it's not one item, maybe it's many smaller items, and then you have to think about the time involved in actually selling those items. So yeah, so that's something that you have to consider. So this looks very nice if you have a lot of time in your hand and you're able to get product at a good price, reasonable price, and you can sell them for 20-30% margin, and then you probably will make your money back. But you have to be very careful and do your calculation very carefully. Make sure you are not losing money and losing time in the process. So that's the flipping part. I think some people actually enjoy it, which is why there are so many vendors coming up. And so if you are thinking about trying that, I think these are some things you have to consider and do your math very carefully. Like I said, and make sure you have a way to get your product regularly so that you can churn and burn them. What about holding? Holding can work, and I think if you just look at the historical data, everything goes up like I show you in the earlier few video, the Sun and Moon XY, Sun and Shield, even the Scarlet and Violet ones, even when they're still in print, it still goes up. I think the reason is because, of course, there are more and more collectors coming in. Right now, of course, we know we are in a bull market. There are many collectors coming in, and the supply actually just get less and less over time, and it is quite safe. And if you do not want to time the market, I think this is something that I would recommend people doing, especially if you're new to the hobby, you're not very familiar, you do not have many connection here and there everywhere, try to get cheap product. This is something that you can do. Almost anyone can do. Yeah, it doesn't matter what is your budget coming in. You can start small, no problem. But the not so good thing is that you tie up your capital for years and years and years, especially some of the underperforming ones. Not so popular set, overprinted set, they may take years before they actually show movement upwards. Here I'm just quickly show you my collection. I'm showing you in Singapore dollar. Let's say starting from July last year, which is when I actually started collecting. So slightly more than a year. You can see that it goes up, and this is the cost that I paid. So orange line is the cost that I paid. Market value is what the value of the market is for whatever I have collected. So at the moment it is almost double of what I have put in, and recently I bought quite a bit of the prismatic stuff, prismatic bundles, and which is why you see a little step up over here. And I'm just going to show you what are the things that are moving up very quickly in terms of price. And here I'm showing you the total percentage return. So some of this thing I only have like 1 or 2 pieces like this. Actually the Paldean Fates ETB I have 2. I'm not sure why I only put 1 here. Things like Crown Zenith, yeah, it's making like 300% return, just sitting there doing nothing. Even the Fusion Strike, these are really collection item. I only bought 1 for collection. I'm not thinking about flipping them. At that time, I bought this very early in my mind. I was not thinking about flipping them and selling very quickly at all. So it's more for collection. UPC, I got it from Pokemon Center before, you know, the craze came in, when it was still available on their website, Testrian Rival. So generally, you see everything is green. Everything has been, you know, moving up. And of course, there are also things that it has not made a positive return yet, like for example the Prismatic Evolution Surprise Box. I think that's the nice thing about holding product and seal product, because it's really quite safe, especially in a market like this. You're not worried, even though there's a retracement later on, but sooner or later it's still going to go up if you give them enough time. What are the few things that you have to decide what to flip or what to hold? It's really about print run and availability. How easy is it for you to get the product and for other people to get the product as well? If it is a very limited print run thing, usually I would prefer to keep them. I mean, naturally I'm a hold person, a long-term holder, and especially if it is something that is very popular, 151 Charizard and the EV sets. But the same can be said if you want to flip them, because these are the things that people really want them, whether it is in the long term or during release. So if you have means to get your hands on product and you want to flip them, I think that's okay as well. But the most important thing is really what is your goal, whether you're really looking to have a very quick cash flow, and or whether you're okay holding it long term, you have other means to get the income, and you actually do not want to spend a lot of time doing those things, then maybe it's a more long-term person. Then I think holding things probably will suit you better. But if you want to be very active, you want to be very involved, you can think about flipping them and even, you know, churning and burning regularly. My personal strategy, I have a full-time job and a family, so I treasure my time very much, whether it's for my work as well as with my family. So for me personally, I hold at least 90 to 95% of the things that I can get my hand on, especially if it is special and, you know, it's something iconic. I think it's going to do well in the future, or when the margin is not very good. Like for example, over here, Temporal Forces, I have I think I've said it quite a few times, 7 cases of it. It's not the most popular thing, so the price did not appreciate very quickly like Paldea evolved. And the demand is also not that high for now, because again, most people probably will not be, you know, going everywhere looking for this box. So I hold it, and even actually if I wanted to sell this at the moment, right now I could probably make like already 50-60% of what I paid them for. But I've decided to just keep them because I'm not, you know, in need of the money for now. But flipping, actually there are a few things that I flipped. Blackboard White Flare ETB is one of it. So if I can get enough allocation, I don't think I want to keep a lot of it. I will flip some of it. And if the product is really hyped, especially during release, or if I think that they are going to be reprinted, like Destiny Rival, I thought it's going to be reprinted, but you know, a few months have passed, and in Singapore we have not heard anything yet, so that may be my one big regret. And the other thing I showed here is the Lucario and Tyranitar EX Premium Collection. This is the box with 14 Prismatic Evolution packs. Very surprising, this actually came to Singapore because this was said to be Sam's Club exclusive in the US, but in Singapore it seems to be something that is available for retailer special box. The other surprising product that came out was this. This is the Blaziken EX Special Collection. This is a box with 6 packs inside, 3 Destiny Rival and 3 Journey Together. And again, I think most of the bigger shops, they get a few cases of this, so each case should have, I think, 6 boxes. So you can try a hand on this. I think they just got it 2 days ago. The date of recording is 14 September. So in Singapore, we got the Blaziken EX Special Collection box as well as this, but this definitely the supply is a lot lower, so if you can get it at a good price, it'll be good to try your luck and, you know, visit some shops and see whether you can find them. Am I gonna flip this? Actually, I got this at a pretty good price, slightly below MSRP. If you want to know what's the MSRP, is 124.99 or 90, 124.90 maybe. You can look at the Lazada page, the Pokemon Center page. Blaziken EX box is not even on Pokemon Center. I'm not sure why. That is a true retailer specialty. You don't even find them in, you know, on eBay or things like that. Very special box, so I got one of it. For me, I'm not going to flip it because again, I don't think I can get a very good margin. I got this slightly under MSRP. If I want to sell this at the moment, maybe I can sell it for 180, 190. I'm not sure. I don't even see it on Facebook. Nobody's selling it. And the Blaziken EX box, yeah, again, if I want to sell it, I don't think I can get a very good margin on it, so there's really no point. And if Destiny Rival is really going to do as well as many people are thinking it will do, it may be worth keeping for now. So let's finish this video as a summary. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all strategy on, you know, whether you should flip or hold, or maybe like for me it's a little bit of a mix, you know, 10% flipping or maybe even 5% flipping, I would say, and the other 90 to 95% of whatever I get, I actually hold them. For me, that works because I really treasure my time. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time doing this. Definitely churning and burning is not something I want to do. But if you really want to maximize your gain, you want to put all your time into it to, you know, to be a millionaire within a few years, I think maybe it's something that you can do. Honestly, that's not for me, but if you want to try it, good luck. Yeah, so that's all what I wanted to share today. I hope it's helpful to you. Let me know in the comments below whether you think flipping works better for you or holding works better for you, and which one do you plan to try in the future, or are you like me, you know, a mix of both, or what else you want to know about this, and I will try my best to share more with you. Right, see you in the next one.